Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NobCast, your favourite football podcast and the Man City and Man United podcast. We are going to be reviewing the FA Cup final where my beautiful, glorious, perfect team, Manchester City, destroyed the Red Devil Swines. That is Gaskey's team.
Destroyed.
Well, did they destroy them or not? Was it a penalty? No, it wasn't. We'll be talking about that later. So reviewing the FA Cup final, we'll be doing Guess the Footballer in 60 seconds, our chance to get the better of one another, looking at and building our Premier League team of the season, and finally ending on a preview of Man City's biggest game in history, ? Manchester City versus Inter in the final of the Champions League, and the potential for the treble is on. If you're on YouTube, leave a like on the video. If you're on Apple, Spotify, give us a 5-star review. Gaskey, speaking of that treble, that's only been allowed because your team bloody lost in the FA Cup final.
Right, it's not just down to one team. There's another 18 involved in this treble.
Yeah, I know you are right. I'm just being cheeky.
So let's just, okay, we could have stopped it. We could have stopped this, this talk, and then you could have just enjoyed potentially first Champions League. But no, it's not going to happen.
But yes, so City won the double. FA Cup final, really entertaining game from a neutral. But Gaskey, I mean, within 13 seconds,
it was just an incredible goal. I'm not going to be one of these, I don't even know what you call these type of fans, that it's like, who can we blame? Let's look for someone to blame in them 13 seconds. It was just a good goal. It was a brilliant goal. And if you're going to concede after 13 seconds in a game, you might as well concede to that. An absolute blinder. Simple as that. It was Gundogan's just on. I don't know what he's on at the moment.
End of season Gundogan,
and it's perfect for him because he did it last season, like you said, end of season Gundogan, and perfect to go into the Champions League final with.
Absolutely. Let's hope he can keep up that momentum for sure. But yes, it was definitely something that was worked on though, because Gundogan took the kickoff. He's normally Haaland. So it was clearly something that City tried to work on where, Gundogan takes it, they put it to the keeper, and then they ping it to Haaland, who flicks it on, and then the idea is to get something from there. And it did actually work. So it actually... I
don't think that was the exact plan.
No, maybe not.
It probably went better than Pep thought, but, it's interesting to see City take a different approach because them as, we'll pass it around for a bit, but to go direct is... Like we said earlier in the season, they're playing into Haaland's strengths rather than kind of trying to play the way that they played the last season and the season before. They've took a different approach and gone, right, we're going to try this as well. They've obviously, been training on how they can get a target man involved because, Aguero wasn't a target man. He would come back, get involved. So it's good to see them play a different way and it worked.
Yeah. They did a similar thing against Arsenal where they went quite direct, and even against Bayern where they went quite direct. And it is good to have that in your Arsenal, in addition to everything else that City are capable of doing. So yeah, it was almost like a set play. Is it in NFL where you have set plays?
What do we call them? Not set play, but yeah. That type of thing, plays, yeah. Yeah,
plays, there you go, yes.
Different ones you'll try, yeah.
It was that sort of setup, which was really interesting. And yeah, as you say, the quickest goal in FA Cup final history, also probably the best goal in FA Cup final history. And it was the perfect start for City and indeed myself, obviously. But United weren't, a lot of people, myself included, predicted this to be 3-0. Some people said 4-0. Yes. Basically batterings.
I think I was one of them.
Basically batterings in City's favour. Yeah. But that didn't happen, and that was to United's credit, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did well at keeping... It was strange to see City not be as comfortable on the ball as they normally are. And if that's to give United credit, they did. They made them uncomfortable, and they were getting into positions where they had so much space going into City's final third. And that, credit to United for that, really. After 13 seconds, I think everyone was United fans were probably thinking, oh, bloody hell, here we go. But they managed to, push them back, and they managed to just cope. And then they started to create chances. And then, the controversial decision happened. And the game came more to life then. United started having more chances. And sadly, didn't, couldn't get a second goal. But I thought it was a very entertaining game. I was very surprised.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people have suggested that City didn't get out of second gear. I don't buy into that thought process at all.
I think that's people knowing how good City are and how consistently good they are. I think they won't admit that another team can make them play, well, not poor, but, play them under par for City standards. But yeah, I think City were playing well. And you could tell players were tired. There was at one point, was it Rodri who just looked like he had no gears left. But, it was not like, when you say they didn't come out of second gear, it's as if like you telling me them players are holding back. They're not holding back. You've just got to, I think people find it difficult to give other teams credit, especially with it being a United team who isn't great. They're not amazing, but they're not poor either. So I think you just got to give credit to both teams. It was a good game, and I didn't think I'd come out of that match being annoyed that they lost the way they did. I thought it'd be like, oh, for God's sake, battered, typical. I didn't expect it to be like, oh, we could have won that.
Yeah, definitely. And they definitely could have won it. But their entry into the game, Gaskey, we can't not talk about this. The entry into the game was pathetic.
It's one of those where it could just be it's the law. I think it is the law. But where is the human brain involved in this decision at all? If you're anybody and you're walking backwards and you jump, your arms will flail. It seems like it's second nature to most people. Your arms will just flail. Okay, if you watch the replay, you can. If I'm going to be really picky, you could probably understand he's giving it because his arm has made that motion back again. But just go out with someone, just go in your garden and do it. Just go and do what he does, and your arm will probably do the same thing. It's just, he's not even really looking at it either. He's just jumping to try and block it somehow, and it's caught. It's not even like he's like like someone from volleyball and just palmed it away. He has clipped his fingers. It hasn't vigorously changed direction. He hasn't influenced the ball enough for me personally. Like I used to play hockey, and whenever it would hit your foot, that was always going to get given. It doesn't matter if it was an accident or whatever. And that's a completely different sport, but with football, I think the decision should be based on where the ball goes. If the ball still travels its direction and it kind of clips the fingers, like it's not changed anything. It hasn't. So I don't know how they can give a penalty for that.
Just a side question, which isn't even really specifically about this. So United were gifted a penalty, and in general, if you're gifted a penalty, you're gifted a goal because around 80% of the time, a penalty goes in.
Yeah. Now,
does there need to be I have no idea how you do this. Maybe it'll be too complicated, but clearly, let's assume that Jack Grealish, his hand didn't get in the way there, and the ball travels its normal path. It would have just gone to a City player, and it would have been cleared, and it would have been irrelevant. So United have earned an 80% chance to score from nothing. Like there's no danger at all. So the first question is that fair? And then the second question is that right? And should we amend the penalty rule to somehow incorporate whether the foul or whatever is actually warranting of an 80% chance to score? But that might overcomplicate things.
Well, I think the difficulty for that is, I would say, if you have a hypothetical scenario such as the player isn't looking, let's say Grealish doesn't know, because he kind of looks behind him, so he kind of knows. But let's say a player doesn't look behind him and doesn't know what's in the box. How can you guarantee that player hasn't done it on purpose? This is the problem. There's no guarantee he hasn't. Grealish deep down might be like, he's kind of in his brain, he's kind of moved his hand back. You don't know. There's no 100% guarantee that person's going to lie or what. You don't know. But there could be a situation where a player decides, I'm just going to have a pot shot, and that player it's accidentally hit his arm, but actually he's moved his arm there, and he's not seeing behind him. I know what you mean. Like if they were to review it and be like, yeah, he's tried crossing that in, there's no one there, and it's clipped his fingers, it's going to go to literally to no one. So why should they get a penalty? You're right. Why should they get a penalty?
Yeah, it's just an interesting thought.
It should I know what you mean. It should have something to do with it in terms of, someone's getting an easy chance to score a goal based on just like I said, it was literally just Wan-Bissaka swinging the ball in the box. That's all it was. Nothing special. and he's clipped his fingers. I think it's more of in that situation, would you think in the exact same situation, if it hit Grealish's arm harder than it did, so let's say it bounced back towards Wan-Bissaka behind him and hit his arm, would you say, would that change your, I'm not saying does that completely change your opinion, but would you say that kind of levels it out a bit more on how it connected with his arm? Like if it completely hit his arm, or hit his palm and went back behind Wan-Bissaka for a throw in, would you be like, you're like right now, you're 100% not a penalty? Would that change that 100%?
I don't think so, because I think his hand's in a natural position, because you said it yourself. If you jump and you're in a sport, and of course you can jump without putting your hand in the air, but you're not going to get nearly as much height or purchase or plant. So I'd argue that the law's been interpreted incorrectly, because it's all about natural position, and I think that is in a natural position.
I do, based on what he's doing.
If you take into account what human biology is of jumping, as you say.
Exactly. And then with what you were saying before, what if that part, let's say there was less players in the box as well, Wan-Bissaka's crossed it and there's a clear unmarked United player there, and he does the same thing, he's clearly going to go to that player and it hits his arm. What do you do in that situation? But he's potentially stopped a really good opportunity, but he's hit his arm.
Okay, it depends. Well, it should depend on whether it's in a natural position or not, shouldn't it?
Yeah. But I know what you mean. But like, it's more of what you said about, getting an 80% chance. What if, a very good opportunity was going to be stopped by an arm, which was an accidental? But it's away from his body. Well, I understand. I understand. Like, it's a natural position based on what he's doing, his action. But it's more. It's just conversation, really. Just trying to of what they could do with the rule, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be, I'm not a referee, to be fair, but I think they should. You've got to take into account what is natural and what isn't, first and foremost, because realistically, I mean, the law used to be, what was it, intentional or not, and it's like very rarely do players intentionally handle the ball in very rare circumstances. Yeah,
it's like, did you see the one in the Europa League final?
No.
Just see it. So that one was the simple, but this is a similar situation. It was a cross, and it's hit the guy. The guy stood there. I think I can't remember who it was, but he's come across, stood there. He's hit his arm flush, but his arm's not at his side like a pencil, but out a little bit, as if like you were walking that kind of distance, like he was running back. He's hit his arm and he's gone out for a throw in, and they didn't give a penalty. But people argue that is a penalty. So that's where my point kind of comes from in terms of, does it not depend on how it's hit the arm? Because people are arguing that this isn't a penalty, which I agree with. It's not a penalty. But then they're arguing a week before that is a penalty. Yeah. But it's the same situation. It's just a cross. Okay, the player's a bit further away. But again, he's still doing the same motion. He's kind of running back and kind of jumping, back into position to block the cross.
I think that's where proximity probably does come into it, because Grealish, Wan-Bissaka was literally next to each other. It sounds like this cross in the Europa League final wasn't next to each other.
Yeah, proximity needs to I think that needs to be pushed a bit more, because proximity should come into it, because that's, you've got, again, it comes down to just human beings and biology, reaction times. If you can't react that close to even move his arm. Yeah. It's not even, and even in slow motion, you can't look at him trying to move it or anything, because it's that close. Whereas it should be a distance thing. If it's too close, no matter what, it should be no, it's not a ball.
Yeah, for sure. But either way, I was very frustrated. United got back into the game. Thankfully, City didn't capitulate like at Old Trafford. And I thought that in general, City controlled the game. Not as much as they would have liked to, because I say United were definitely a team they were definitely in the game. It's not like this was a walkover by any means. But it was sort of almost as if, for the second goal, almost as if, like, if I'm being critical, the United players didn't remember the brilliant volley that Gundogan scored earlier in the game, and they leave him unmarked on the edge of the box.
It's a difficult situation, because it seemed to be another goal off the training ground, because there was about 5 players across the edge of the box, and it was like, well, maybe they weren't expecting this. What do we do? You leave that box open, they just charge in, and cross it in, and then someone taps it in. So it's one of those where it seems to be from a defensive point of view, we haven't trained for this type of corner. What's going on here? because they were all left unmarked on the edge of the box. But you go and mark them, someone charges in. I think it was De Bruyne that crossed it in, just puts it on the penalty spot, and it's a tap-in. So it's a bit of a difficult one, that one, because that's like, why don't more teams do that? Because you don't see as many goals like that where they swing it to the edge of the box when you could just put 5 players there. And
well, I don't even think it was a corner. I think it was a free kick, actually.
Or even a free kick, from that angle. Like, it's going to cross it in, and they all just dump players on the edge of the box. And it's like, well, the United players will be like, well, what do I do? We'll stand in the box here and zonal marking or do what you want to do. But as soon as you step out to mark them players, you go and mark Gundogan and he'll pass it to someone else. You go and mark them all, they'll put it in the box and someone will tap it in. So I find it difficult to be critical of either goal. Because the second one he didn't connect very well, but De Gea saw it very late. I saw Peter Schmeichel after the game criticise him, saying he's not in the right place. But then you can say that about any strikers as well, or anybody in any position. He wasn't in the right place, but you don't, De Gea is not good enough anymore. Simple as that. Across the board in every way. But I'm not going to go and just every single time there's something that's 1% his fault, going to go for the jugular on him. No.
Do you not think that a lot of people have been criticising Varane as well for not closing down Gundogan quickly enough? Do you have any...
No, the closing down wasn't quick enough because if, for example, there was if Martinez was playing, I don't think that goal happens based on someone to close it down, because I think he charges that down and distracts him enough. So, yeah, I would say the closing down wasn't quick enough. And its result, it's just had a shot. It was one of those goals where that's a player where everything's going his way. It's as simple as that. Because if I can guarantee if anyone else had that volley on that pitch, that doesn't go in. The way it does. So I think it's just an unlucky goal. Like, yeah, you can be critical. He wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough. But it is what it is. United did very, very well to reduce the amount of chances City would have with the amount of ball they had. And they had chances themselves. But as we've seen throughout the season, they don't score enough. They're not clinical enough because they haven't got a striker. So there was no reason why next season, if United do invest in their team, why they, in similar situation, they wouldn't win. So...
And the summer transfer window's coming up, so there'll be loads of talk about, is Harry Kane going to United or Seaman? All of these players will see who United sign and loads of other positions as well. The goalkeeper, maybe another centre-half. That remains to be seen. But yes, City obviously won, and everyone's talking about like the treble, obviously Gaskey, but let's not forget that this is a double. This is the double. Which
this is yeah, exactly. Which doesn't happen often.
I was going to say, when was the last time it happened? Was it when City in 2019, and then before then? I don't know. It's not happened that frequently in English football.
No, I don't think so. I can't remember actually who's been previous than that. Because if you look at the past FA Cup winners, it spreads out. Apart from Arsenal winning like 4 in the last decade, but before that is very rarely happens. I think United probably won it under Fergie the last time. Before that, I think probably is a time since then, but I don't know.
I think Jose did it with Chelsea at least once. But yes, so that's an achievement in itself, doing the double, never mind the treble.
Yeah, the time before then was probably City getting the domestic treble.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. Yeah. Exactly.
It's happened. I think it's happened less than 20 times in English football. As an example of how rare it is. So that's an amazing achievement in itself. And in fact, it's only the second time Pep's won the FA Cup. Surprisingly. Yeah. We've won the League Cup, I think, like 4 times, maybe 5 under Pep. But yeah, the FA Cup seems to go missing. But there we go, added to the collection. And yeah, I think we both agree City deserved winners at the end of the day.
Yeah. But it was closer than we would think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I thought United were good value for the match. Definitely. It was really good. Really good to see Gundogan lift the trophy, obviously. And yeah, just we had a lovely time on stream, didn't we, Gaskey?
We did. It was a laugh. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, apart from the fact that you lost, but yeah.
Oh yeah, apart from that.
Oh, goodness me. Will City do the treble? We'll be talking about that a little bit later.
It's all here and it's all football, all the football, all the time.
Gaskey, that was the FA Cup final preview. Would you like to guess some footballers?
Let's do it.
Would you like to go first or shall I?
You can guess mine first. Let's do that.
I'll guess yours first. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Good stuff. Right. Let me just get a clock. I think I've still got the timer that works. Okay. Guess the footballer. 60 seconds. Go. Are they still playing?
No.
Now the timer doesn't work. Oh no, Gaskey, no.
Oh, the timer. He's
what
gone
a shame.
forever.
Do I have any of these buttons that work? That's not the right button. It's BALLBUSTERS.
We don't play that game anymore.
Oh, we haven't played BALLBUSTERS in ages. We might bring that back at some point. Let's see if this button works. It does. Fantastic. Okay. Wonderful work by me as a podcast host. Okay, Gaskey, I'm guessing the football in 60 seconds. Go. Are they still playing?
No.
So they're retired.
Yes.
Okay, are they best known for top 5 league?
Yes.
Premier League?
No.
German?
No.
Spanish?
No.
Italian?
Yes.
Okay, Milan club?
Yes.
Inter?
No.
AC?
Yes.
Keeper?
Yes.
Is it Brazilian?
Yes.
Dida?
Hey, look at that. We like to see it.
Is it Dida? It is Dida, isn't it?
Dida.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dida. Wonderful.
That's the one. Well
That
done.
was less than 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Boom.
This guy knows ball.
Okay, Gaskey, guess the footballer in 60 seconds. Go.
Are they still playing?
Yes.
Are they in the top 5 league?
No.
Are they past their prime?
Yes.
Are they in Europe?
No.
Are they in Asia?
Yes.
Are they in the Saudi league?
Yeah.
Are they... Oh, I don't know any Saudi league teams. Are they the one that Ronaldo's in?
Yeah.
That team. Is it Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I thought that would get you, but you asked a really good question of are they past it? So well done. You got that one.
I'm learning from my previous mistakes.
Could have been a potential banana skin. Well, if we keep doing this, we'll have to make it 30 seconds, not 60. Right.
Wait, calm down.
Last one for me.
Calm it down.
Guess the footballer in 60 seconds. Go. Still playing?
No.
Retired then.
Yes.
Most known for top 5 league.
Yes.
England.
Yes.
Premier League.
Yes.
Top 6 club. Big 6 club.
Yes.
London club.
No.
Manchester club.
Yes.
City.
Yes.
Okay, keeper.
No.
Defender.
Yes.
Fullback.
No.
Centre half.
Yeah.
Do they have a Premier League?
No.
Are they pre-takeover?
Yes.
Is he European?
Yes.
Is it Richard Dunn?
No.
Distan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. Look at that. We like to see.
Well done,
We
Sylvan
like to see.
Distan. Lovely
We
stuff.
like to see.
That proves I'm not a glory supporter because I knew a pre-takeover player.
But just to know how many people actually remember him.
It was really good. He played for Everton as
He
well,
wasn't
didn't
bad.
he?
He wasn't bad. Yeah. I couldn't decide between like City or Everton, who were thinking, but I remember City more than Everton.
Yeah, I think most people do, to be fair. Well, I certainly do. I think he was the last player I had to collect in a, like a football stickers collection 8 years ago, I think. I was like, oh, it's Distan, I got him.
Waiting on Distan.
Because I was only trying to finish City. So yeah. Right, okay, Gaskey. Last one for you. Guess the football in 60 seconds. Go.
Are they still playing?
No.
They're retired, yeah.
Yeah.
Top 5 league, best known.
Yes.
Okay, best known for Premier League.
No.
Spanish league.
Yes.
Barcelona.
No.
Real Madrid.
No.
Valencia.
No.
Atletico Madrid.
Yes.
Okay, did they play most of their career at Atletico Madrid?
Yes.
Yeah. Did they play in the noughties?
They did.
Yeah. Did they play for Atletico in the noughties?
Yep.
Yep. Did they play in the tens?
Yes.
Yep. God, are they European?
No.
No. Are they Brazilian?
No.
Are they in the Americas?
Yes.
Okay. Is it South America?
Yes.
Is it Diego Forlan?
Yes.
Oh, let's go!
Well done.
What a week! What a week!
That was another potentially tricky one.
He was in my head as soon as I got Atletico Madrid. But I was like, let's play safe. Where I could have gone crazy.
No,
just gone for it.
No, that's very good. Yeah. Potentially tricky one because obviously he played for United, but not most known for United.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing work there, Gaskey. Well done.
Yeah. And you too. Got all 4. That's what we like.
Boom. We got that's a 4, Pete. That's a what's it called?
I think we probably had one 4 Pete before this.
What's it called in basketball? A clean sweep? A clean sweep. You got swept. Yeah, that's the one. We swept them. Yeah. Well done. Amazing stuff. There we go. So that was
yes.
Guess the footballer in 60 seconds. Right. Let's move on, shall we, Gaskey, to the team of the season, the Premier League team of the season. Now, in my brain of destiny, I'm quite happy with what I think the team of the season is. So I'm more interested to hear what your thoughts are. Okay. Now,
I will admit, I've kind of not thought about this too much, so you're going to have to.
That's all right. So I suggest we go 4-3-3.
4-3-3 is fair. And are we being strict on positions?
I was going to say, I think we should be strict because I think that makes it a bit more interesting.
Right. Okay. That's fine.
So, for example, we're not doing the PFA way where we can squeeze in Harry Kane at left wing.
We're putting Haaland on left wing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
They never played there. Cool. That's fine.
So it's got to be a left back, a right back, a left wing, right wing, DM, etc. So,
sounds good.
Let's go back to front, shall we? So, goalkeeper Gaskey, who is in your team of the season?
I would say, based on where they were and where they finished, I probably would go Alisson.
I agree.
He saved them a lot of points, even though they were struggling still. They wouldn't be in Europa League if it wasn't for him. They wouldn't be in Europe at all. So I think we need to be fair with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's got like the best stat in terms of like saving shots compared to like what should have been a goal. So he saved his team like 7 goals or something like that. It might even be 9 goals, which is obviously a lot of points. So yeah, he is in a very shaky Liverpool defense this season. And just the team generally, I think he's been Liverpool's only consistently good player.
Yeah, based on for the whole season. And to be fair, if we're looking at other players who like Salah's just Mr. Consistent, like he's still finished with so many goals. And I think Diaz and Jota coming back really helps because them two just hit the ground running as if they'd never got injured. So that's quite impressive because everyone else was struggling. Them two just knocked Nunes out of the team, didn't they? So clearly, that's what they were missing their subs. Yeah, definitely.
Alisson easily their best player. In terms of other potential options, we could have had Nick Pope from Newcastle would have been the obvious choice. Raya from Brentford would have been another choice because his shot stopping this season has been very impressive. Yeah. But I think that both of those players in the league, they've made at least one high profile error. For example, Nick Pope against Liverpool, he got red carded.
Cheating.
Whereas Alisson, I know he made that big blunder in the Champions League, but I don't think he's really made any big errors.
No, he's saved more than he has lost. For example, and also I think with Newcastle, I think the defense have a lot to say, not just the keeper.
Definitely.
As well.
Yeah, definitely. And and in a defense which with a struggling Van Dijk and Trent, he's obviously got more work to do as Alisson.
The Trent eyebrow raise. It's going to be a new thing.
Yeah,
Trent.
So we both agree on Alisson.
Yes.
Okay, right back, Gaskey.
Right back, I would say Trippier.
I would also say Trippier. Okay. Yeah. I guess
he's carried. I wouldn't say carried Newcastle. That's wrong choice of words. But I would just say he's just hit the come back, hit the ground running, and he's shown that he is a player that has been there, done that. He won the title with Atletico Madrid, and he's come into this team who want to push for Europe, and he's been stuck the captain armband and been a star man, really.
Yeah, and his set pieces, like from free kicks in particular, are very terrifying. His chances created are very high, which is important for a fullback. He can also defend, unlike someone. Not naming any names, but.
I'll put it this way. There's a certain player, we won't say his name. He's better at going forward, but he has the ability. This guy has the ability to do both. And look who's in the team of the season. There we are.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The other options he may have had, like Ben White for Arsenal. I think he would have had a good shout sort of like halfway through the season.
Yeah, you just see it. They had obviously the bad period at the end of the season, but he just seemed to maybe not drop off in form, but kind of mellowed out a bit, whereas Trippier seemed to have been consistent all year. White seemed to just disappear after, a few months to go. So he probably just misses out based on that.
Yeah. Just thinking any other options. I think
right back's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
There isn't many others.
Because the main issue, because obviously, City normally the best team, so you normally look for their players first, but it's been tricky because we haven't really played a normal right back most of this season.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been a different one.
Yeah.
I'd probably be a bit biased and say Wan-Bissaka's probably up there based on everyone else.
I think that's...
he's been very good. I didn't realize till this season. I knew he was quite like nimble and quite skillful, but I didn't realize how actually good he is. Just going around players as well as tackling them. So yeah.
Yeah, I think he's also a decent shout. It's maybe like top 4 or 5 or whatever. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but we both agree on Trippier.
Yeah, I agree on Trippier.
Lovely. What a beautifully conformed team of the season this is so far.
This is where it gets interesting now, though.
Yeah, because I think centre half is one of the ones you can definitely argue on. So I think there's one player who probably should be in every single person's team of the season.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with him first. I hope we got the same person. Saliba.
Yes.
Yeah, Saliba, I can agree with. The other one's a bit of a tricky one, but it's between 2 for me.
Okay.
It's between Diaz and Botman.
Right.
And I think I'd probably, because I can't go through at the back, I'll probably say Diaz.
Now, why?
Diaz,
so why? So I agree. Those are probably the 2 most sensible options. But why have you gone for Diaz over Botman?
I would say Diaz over because of, again, I say consistency more than anything. Like, with Diaz all season, just how good he is. How good is it that the way City play, with their maybe not even new, is it really, but of moving a player into midfield, you're shortened up. You need reliability in that back three that it becomes. And he's that man. He's that good. You forget he's playing. You forget he's there, and he's just getting on with his job. And that's just become what you think he's doing well. Is just him doing his thing. Nothing against Botman. Botman's been brilliant this season as well. He's also a reason why Newcastle are where they are. But I feel like Diaz has just been more consistent and done more than Botman. Nothing against Botman, because he could easily put him in instead, but I just think Diaz edges it.
I definitely agree. Diaz deserves to be in this team. When we went on that mental run, that after the allegations, that coincided with Ruben Diaz coming back from injury and getting back into the team. And I'm very convinced a big reason as to why we're able to win a lot of those games is because Diaz came back. He's solid defensively. He's also a leader. His organisation skills, also very good at playing it out from the back. He's the glue, holds everyone together, make sure everyone knows their own job, and aggressive in the tackle and the challenge. For me, it's definitely Ruben Diaz for sure. Shout out Botman, as you say.
Yeah, definitely.
I think maybe another reason why I'd edge it to Diaz probably is because I think a defender in a more defensive system is more likely to flourish than a defender in an offensive. So I think it's easy. Does that make sense? I think it's easier for a defender in a defensive system.
You've got to. I think it's like, if you look at it, it's like when you're picking attackers, you're going to pick people who score the most goals. So you're going to pick. So if you've got multiple that are scoring loads of goals, you're going to base it on who's done a bit more for the team. Basically, if players have scored the same amount. Whereas with a defender, you're not just going to go clean sheets. Yeah. Because there's other people involved. It's players who do more than that. Like Botman's brilliant, but he's a centre back. He does his centre back job. Diaz just does that extra bit as well. Mm-hmm. So which means he edges it just about. But again, that's just time as well. Diaz has been 3 years at City now, and he's been hard to fault. Could you even fault him? I don't think you could fault him at all. So whereas Botman's first season, to even have a shout in it, there's no reason why next season he could not be in it. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Diaz's first season, he was best centre half in the league. Second season, I thought he was the second best behind Van Dijk. This season, again, second best behind Saliba, I think. Saliba, we put in Saliba straight away. I think that his first half of the season was a lot more impressive than his second half. Maybe there was obviously an injury in there as well, but first half of the season especially, he was a monster and terrifying.
In the first half of the season, it was only at Old Trafford where he struggled. One game in the whole half of the season where you would say I feel like that one game at Old Trafford where you just seemed to be United just thought, let's just run at them, and it worked. It was against their high line. Apart from that, every other game, he couldn't have a sniff because he was always there. He was just a rash, really. No one could get rid of him.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Definitely. He's. I hope his injury isn't too bad. I hope he's able to next season be the same player and perform to the same level. But yeah, for me, it's got to be Saliba and Diaz. Now we're in agreement on that, Gaskey, but I've seen. In fact, I went on a show where we talked about the team of the season, and sadly, I was over. Some people agreed with me, but I was actually overruled on Diaz, and they said one of your players. They said Martinez. So you haven't even tried to argue Martinez. So tell me more about that.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I'm not arguing Martinez is this. Again, this comes to the other way. Like we said with Diaz, is the talking about how he does a bit more than Botman based on not just the defensive and clean sheets part. Even though United had the most clean sheets, and Martinez was absolutely amazing because he's also an option there. I'll care to admit I forgot he existed because he'd been injured that long. But also, yeah, you could probably argue him as well. But it's just them two edge it. You know, you could just keep listing centre backs if you wanted to have been good, but I'm not going to just list them all. You know, these three have been better. You know, been better than him. But he's easily top 5, top 4 this season as well.
Yeah.
But I find it. I mean, the evidence is there, isn't it? That even that David De Gea won the Golden Glove, so that team got the most clean sheets in the league, and they've got no defenders in the team of the season. That tells you that it's not good enough yet, even with the most clean sheets. So, but yeah, Martinez has no reason why he can't get in next season. He probably would have got in it over someone if, you know, he didn't get injured because, you know, well, it's one of these, isn't it? You never know what could have happened. But yeah, it's difficult to argue. I think Diaz and Botman are the two for me.
Yeah. Based
on the season, but Botman and Martinez are the other two, I would say.
For sure.
Based on that.
I'm not saying he's to blame for this at all, but I would also just, you know, add that anything going not in United's favour is the fact that there have been a couple of
it's the hammerings
games, big hammerings.
It's the hammerings that do affect it. Because if you were to take off like these big batterings and you were to halve the goals they conceded, they'd be closer to Newcastle and City on clean sheets, and then you might even argue Martinez over Diaz, for example. Also, you know. But these hammerings, it's
hard to ignore a 7-0.
Yeah, exactly. It's down to all the players. You know, like it doesn't matter. Like all the players are to blame in that position. Like you've conceded 7 goals. No team should concede 7 goals in the Premier League. So
yeah, for sure. And rounding up the defence, left back Gaskey.
Left back for me. I might even butcher it again and forget someone, but it's between Ake and Shaw, I would say, because I think Shaw's been brilliant. But I think I'd probably edge it to Ake based on him coming in and playing in a probably not his preferred position.
No.
And replacing arguably the best fullback from last season in Cancelo. And if it wasn't for him, really, this City run as well wouldn't have happened. Potentially, he was brilliant, you know. And even, you know, okay, he didn't play all season, but majority of the season he's been arguably the best left back in the league. Him and Shaw, but I'd probably edge that to Ake. These are close though. It's not standout player. These are close positions.
Yeah.
But I'd probably edge to Ake.
I totally agree. Another name was floated around us, you know, Brighton's Estepinian. I'm not having that at all. No chance. He's third and clearly third. Shaw and Ake are close.
I can't make a strong comment because I haven't seen Brighton play that much.
Nah, not the level of Ake and Shaw. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, like
that's it. I feel like that's a hipster choice just because they want to get a Brighton player in.
Yeah, but it's like when you look at the most defensive teams in the league, or the teams with the best defense, you know, conceded goal, who conceded the least, they're going to have the most defenders in. Like the team who scored the most are going to have the attackers in. Just how it is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ake. I think he's been our best defender. I think he's been better than Diaz this season. I think he's been our best defender. And yeah, playing at left back, out of possession, he's, you know, I think he's one of if not the only place this season who's like clamped Saka twice, dealt with Salah with ease, and he's just been a warrior at left back. And yeah, he always wins his duels, and yeah, a fantastic player. Also, honorable mention to John Stones as well. Sadly, because
shift there.
Sadly because he's played centre back, right back, but then he goes into midfield. Because of that weird hybrid position, I don't think there's a place for him in this team of the season, which is a shame because he's not an out and out in anywhere.
It's not a bad, it's a good thing to have really, because it's as if Pep's been like, right, you're not going to start, but if you're willing to be that guy who does everything, you can be in the team, and he's good at it.
Yeah.
So, you know,
for sure.
nothing wrong with that.
midfield, Gaskey. For me, this is the easiest position, so I don't think we need to talk about this area too much.
I would say so as well. I'd say like a defensive midfielder. I would say it's between Rodri and Casemiro. I would say Rodri over Casemiro. Casemiro has changed United for miles better because of him, but he hasn't been better than Rodri this season. Simple as that. United fans will be more biased towards Casemiro because of how good he's been, considering the state of United the season before in that position. But he wasn't better. He's not been better than Rodri this season.
Totally agree. Rodri. And then ahead, I've got De Bruyne and Odegaard. Do you agree?
Odegaard, yeah. Nice and easy. Odegaard to take the armband at Arsenal and to, I think, is he close? He was, what did he get, 15 goals, something like that?
Something mad, yeah.
Maybe not that, but very, he's getting the goals from deep. He's getting assists. Brilliant. And De Bruyne is just De Bruyne.
De Bruyne is De Bruyne. Again, shout out Gundo, but shout out even for Bruno Fernandes. But there's no room for them here, I'm afraid.
No, there's not. Let's just say with Bruno as well, that's like 5 years in a row where he's got above 30 goals and assists in a season, and he goes under the radar a lot. So he might be a rat, but he's my rat. So.
Maybe that's why. I think that is probably partially why he does go under the radar, because people don't like him.
Exactly. That is the issue. Like, you can be a prick all you want, but don't expect to get the respect from the fans. Yeah. So
even in the FA Cup final, he went up to Bernardo Silva, his international teammate, and Bernardo just pushed him away. He didn't want to talk to him.
Exactly. That was him being nice as well.
Okay, so we both agree so far. This is that is 8 players so far.
I can only think of left wing where we might even disagree, but I don't know.
Okay.
Because
striker. Come on.
Striker, Tony.
Undav.
Undav. No, Haaland.
Yeah, obviously.
You don't even need to add it. No,
exactly. It just is. People keep trying to argue Kane. No, nothing. Right wing. Sorry, Gaskey, go on.
I was just going to say, it's similar to the whole Casemiro conversation. Kane has carried Tottenham, but he's not been better than Haaland. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Right wing?
Right wing, Saka.
Again, I agree. Yeah,
Saka has just been, again, this is another situation where we're going off position. This is right wing. So it's players who have played right wing. And really, it's probably between, I'm trying to think who else, Saka and Salah, probably.
And Salah, for me, has only really been good this last third of the season.
Salah has been he's got the goals and stuff, but Saka all season has offered art. They wouldn't, he's gone missing in bigger games, but they wouldn't win these other games comfortably if it wasn't for him. So, you play 38 matches, don't you? And if he goes missing in 5 of them, you still play 33 of them bloody well. So,
Yeah. So there we go. I'm glad we agree on Saka. I think people like to say Salah because he's got the numbers, but I don't believe in just looking at goals and assists for a winger. No chance. Saka offers much more this season. Got to be Saka. Right, Gaskey, the file. We are here. We could have another clean sweep here.
This one is a difficult one.
So I think it's fair to say there are 3 options. Yeah. There's Martinelli. There's Grealish. And there's Rashford. So don't tell me who your number 1 is. Tell me who your number 3 is first of all. Do you agree that's the top 3?
I like this. Yes.
Yeah.
But I would.
Who's at the bottom of that list?
I hate when they say that because it sounds so negative. I would probably say, the difficult part for me. This is going to be so controversial now. I probably put Martinelli.
Okay, interesting.
I'd probably put Martinelli in 3rd. Very close. So he's between.
So therefore, Grealish or Rashford's go in here.
I think so, but because it's more of I haven't seen a lot of Martinelli because it's all been Saka. Well, not all, but most of it's been Saka. So Martinelli's been brilliant this season, but I don't know.
There was a period where Martinelli had a bit of a rough patch.
Exactly. He had a rough. I feel like it's one of those where Martinelli had a lot of, let's say, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 patch, but then he had a patch where it was like 2s and 3s, whereas Grealish has been a solid 7 across the board. Same with Rashford, really. Rashford had that period of just where he was unbeatable, and then he went very quiet at the end of the season. So that's what the decision is. I think Martinelli 3rd, and then it's a difficult one. Difficult one. Grealish should say he's been more consistent, but Rashford peaked a lot higher, I think.
I agree, but who's been better this season?
But who's been better?
This isn't a team of the purple patch.
No, I know exactly. Yeah, so you'd have to give it to Grealish based on the season.
Yes,
You would have to give it him on the season.
Gaskey, we agree on all 11 positions.
Yeah. Oh, we have, yeah.
And you've put no United players in.
It's because they've been inconsistent. How would you?
I agree with you.
Season if you're inconsistent. Do you want me to be biased? Is this what we want? Do we want to have a biased United fan? Is that what would you like?
No, I want you to be honest. No, I rate it.
Here in goal, you got the Golden Glove.
I rate it because I think what a lot of people do is, especially those who don't really watch a full City game, they'll just watch highlights because Grealish isn't a highlights player.
Yeah. So
they'll just. Sorry, go on.
And also, I would say people remember the back end before the start. So, let's say you play 19 games before Christmas and 19 games after Christmas. The 19 games after Christmas will be remembered more than the 19 games before. If Rashford's immense run and how good he was at the World Cup, people forget about because he was so under par recently.
Mm-hmm.
But I would put him above Martinelli based on the season. Because Martinelli, I would say they've had similar seasons, him and Rashford and Martinelli. But I think Rashford just peaked higher than him.
Yeah.
Whereas Grealish has been miles more consistent than both of them.
Yeah. I'm not sure in my brain Rashford or Martinelli. All I do know is me personally, I think Grealish has to go up. I'm glad we agree. I think he's been better than Kevin De Bruyne this season, and I think De Bruyne has been better than Rashford and Martinelli. So based on that logic alone,
I think I might be wrong here, but I think Grealish has played more than De Bruyne in terms of like game time potentially, because De Bruyne spent quite a bit of time on the bench.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not 100% because I know Grealish was a little bit injured at the start of the season, so he missed a little bit. But he's been more consistent than Haaland. He's performed to a better.
When was his last bad game? Really?
He's had one bad game this season, and that was against Dortmund at home. That's the only bad game he's had all season for me. Every other game, even if he doesn't score or assist, he's occupying players, he's winning fouls, he's carrying the ball forwards, he's progressing it, he's contributing defensively. Even in the FA Cup final, a lot of people said he had a quiet game. Like the two best chances City had where they didn't score came from City's left. And if the ball went in, it would have been, an assist by Grealish. Like Grealish didn't play the ball in, but he did the work leading up to it and played the ball in for the person who could have got the assist to then pass it. So great. Yeah. It's just, yeah. He got, I think, very underrated, Jack Grealish, for people who don't watch City.
People need to understand with team of the seasons, it is the season. Who's been the most consistent. It doesn't matter if it's like Kane doesn't get in it, even though he's been brilliant all season. One, because Haaland's so much better, and two, the team have been shit. So it's very difficult to put a player in over anyone else when other players have been more consistent than him as well. Yeah. So
absolutely.
So to me, the reason Rashford doesn't get in is because if Rashford was consistent all season, he'd get in over Grealish, but he had bad patches. So
exactly. Yeah. Now, obviously, his peak was amazing, but as you say, it's not team of the peak. It's
if we were going to do a team of the peak, he'd be at the top with Haaland. Let's be fair. Yeah. But there's no such thing, sadly.
Yeah, for sure.
We could start that. Should we?
What team of the peak? Well, to be fair, I've done that before. Peak all-time Premier League team of the season, because then you're getting players like Yaya Toure.
NHS Martial. NHS Martial. He was immense.
And maybe
when there's no one watching it.
Probably like Gareth Bale and those sorts of players, and Van Dijk, obviously. Maybe even Trent as well. You might get him in for the 1920 season.
Well, you could easily have Trent, Van Dijk, and Robertson.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, we're sidetracking here.
We are, but yes, there we go. That's our team of the season. Let us know. Do you concur? Do you think we're talking out of our arses? But no, I think that was quite. I've been comfortable with that team of the season for a long time. If we had to do 3 forwards, I'd swap out Grealish for Kane. But I think the defense is fine and midfield, etc. So yeah, there we go. A perfect team of the season, in my opinion. Remember, it's Premier League, so we're not looking at other competitions as well. But Gaskey, we've got a couple minutes left here. There's a pretty big game coming up on Saturday.
Is there? I thought you were going to talk. I thought you meant West Ham tomorrow.
Shout out the Conference League final. It's the Champions League. Champions League final. Man City versus Inter. I'm going to be in Istanbul. It's going to be really exciting, hopefully. It's going to either be the best day or worst day ever. the potential for City to complete the treble. And if they do win the treble, we'll be talking about, a treble debate next week, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And if they lose, we'll be talking about why I'm a sad boy. Gaskey, score predictions. How do you see this game going?
I see this game going very similar to the FA Cup final, to be honest.
I agree.
Very similar. I think before the game even starts, I'm saying it's going to be 1-0 Inter, or it's going to be like a 4-0 City.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's anything like the FA Cup final, there's no reason why Inter can't win, because they have the attacking force United lack. So there's no reason why they can't win it if you're going off the last game.
Yeah.
So,
and they're obviously better than United as well, and they'll be better at playing that brand of football than United.
Oh yeah, definitely. They've got better players. Let's be fair, in their positions. So, yeah, my head says City, my heart says Inter.
So in your heart, you want me, however much money's been spent on the ticket and the travel and accommodation. Oi, let me finish, you swine. You in your heart, after all that, and no, you want me to go all the way to Istanbul, waste however many days of my life in the first instance, and then have the worst crushing experience ever when City lose in the first ever away game I've ever seen at City in the Champions League final. That's what you want in your heart. You want me to be sad.
The game's the game, my friend Nobbins. The game's the game. Hey, you had to be drinking, sat next to you, hurling abuse at me, so you're getting it back.
But come on, that was only the FA Cup final.
All right, because you've got a ticket, you've took me from 100% I want Inter to win and demolish City to 99.99998% for Inter to win. So you've got a little bit there. You've got some there.
So what was your final prediction? Was it 1-0 City?
I'm going to say 2-1 to City.
I'm also going to agree 2-1 City. I think the FA Cup final was the perfect dress rehearsal for what we've just seen. City will not be able to play the style of football that we saw against Bayern and Real Madrid. Inter, I think, are going to be even more defensive than United, and they're going to be even more devastating on the counter-attack. If Inter score first, I think it's game over.
I think it'll go 2-0 City and they'll get one back near the end, and then it'll be an onslaught for a bit.
Yeah, and if Dzeko scores the winner, oh my God, the
one thing they don't have Inter is pace. They're not very quick,
right?
Like countering. So I can imagine it being they'd have to build up a little bit. So it won't be as like with United where you Rashford could run through and it could be a goal. I don't think there'll be any of that option. So yeah, there'll be a lot more defensive based on that, I think. But yeah, I think City will win, and then it'll be the treble, and then we won't hear the end of it, and then I'll be depressed.
Good. Well, if you want to see a depressed Gaskey, guys, predict City to win the treble and the Champions League final.
If you want to see a depressed Nobbins, predict.
No, but they don't want to see that. No one wants to see that. No.
I think they do.
No.
I think they do.
No. Right. I'm going to end this outrageous, libelous podcast right now. Guys, really hope you have enjoyed the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like. If you're watching on Apple and Spotify, etc., give us a 5-star review and rating. And we'll see you guys next time.